Blackburn Rovers gearing up for a double match week. That's right, heading into, of course, a busy old festive period. Standing in the way, of course, this week is Oxford United. Will the game go ahead? Will it be called off? We'll talk about that and much more next. That's right, folks. Back once again with another video today. It is, of course, a chance to catch up with the lads and talk all things Blackburn Rovers. That's right. The podcast is back and we're talking all things, including the waterlogged pitch, of course, the buy, keep or sell, and of course, the next few games. Goodness gracious me. We'll talk all about that and more in a second. If you're new, where you been, smash your subscribe. You want some short for Blackburn Rovers, Championship football, world football, that's right. Earlier in the week, we sat down to talk all about those things, including the prospective return of Connor O'Riordan. Does he get a chance to showcase his stuff in the old January window? Of course, will he remain on loan? We'll talk all about that and more in a second. Big shout out to the members of the patrons. You know who you are. And a big shout out to you. So subscribe. But no time to waste. Let's get caught up with the lads and chat and bring up, of course, all kinds of topics, including that bloody waterlogged pitch. Blackburn Rovers back in action against Oxford United in the Championship, but still, of course, we're still reeling from the after effects of a Saturday's game against Sheffield Wednesday. And we do have in the crew today, Jacob was there. Did you have a brolly with you by chance, or a waterproof, or how was that compared to the Ipswich fiasco?
I actually think it was a tad drier than Ipswich. In the Blackburn end for the Ipswich game, there appears to have been a leaky roof, I should say, and I were getting dripped on throughout the game. And there were some poor souls in front of me that it was a constant drizzle on them the entirety of the game. And that wasn't happening against Sheffield Wednesday. So it can't have been that bad. Or maybe they fixed the roof, who knows. But they clearly haven't fixed the pitch, have they, Dirk? So, yeah, it was a wet one. Not really. I think we probably should have been doing a bit better than we were against the worst side in the league. Before the goal went in, there was a lot of frustration around me where I was sat anyway with the performance and the players. Obviously, it's good to see Morishita and Yuki linking up again. I think they've linked up for all of Yuki's goals bar the Holloway one. And obviously Yuki assisted Morishita as well for his goal. So it's nice to see that link up there. But, Wednesday didn't trouble too much other than a brilliant save from Pears with his outstretched leg. And, we were on course to probably concede last minute again, I'd say.
John T, you managed to catch any of the match by yourself on the weekend, or any of the highlights of I think it was about 60 minutes of play? Will you see anything interesting worth your while?
Yeah, no, I was there. I thought we probably were doing what we had to do. I don't think Sheffield Wednesday, regardless of the league position and everything like that, it was always going to be interesting going into the game, because that week we learned that they just had another 6 points taken off them. So, for me, it was kind of that I didn't know if that was going to go for them or against them. If they were just going to be, resigned to going down into League One, or if it was going to put a bit more fire in the belly and say, you know what, let's put ourselves in the transfer window in January, and hopefully a big club or a championship club will come in for us, and players start departing. So I didn't think we played badly. We played on the front foot again, sort of thing, against a Sheffield Wednesday side that aren't a bad team. They took Preston all the way. I think Preston did beat them 3-2, but speaking to a couple of Preston mates, they were saying that Sheffield Wednesday were pretty well organised and made it tough for them. So potential banana skin, but obviously we never actually got to the end of the banana skin, did we? Like Jacob says, it might have ended up 1-1, but no, I thought we looked comfortable, but I've said that too many times this season for us to then go and concede.
Yeah, and of course, you keep back on the score sheet, even though it's not going to count in the grand scheme of things. But looking back over the last 2 or 3 games, or 2 or 3 part games, you would say, well, what's your takeaway from the games like of Ipswich when we finally got that game done and dusted, and then Wrexham? Are they two solid points in the grand scheme of the bigger picture, or do you think realistically we dropped? Well, we did drop a couple realistic because they were the two last minute equalizers in the games, but takeaways from those games.
Yeah, I just hope those 4 points aren't going to come back and bite us on our arse, whatever that looks like. We don't want to be kicking ourselves for missing those opportunities. I thought Wrexham away we were brilliant, really really good. Again, professional away performance. We just didn't quite get the second goal. It could have gone either way. It was like on a bit of a knife edge at one point. Wrexham started ramping up their attack and the fans got on side with them again. And Ipswich, I was slightly disappointed with them, to be honest with you. I thought to say that they were coming into the game with a lot of form, which we always knew was going to be the case, didn't we? I speaking to Ipswich fans afterwards, they keep chopping and changing the team. So I did think they looked a little bit disjointed, but but then they've gone and beaten Coventry, as we now know, 3-0. So no, I don't know. It's last minute goals will be they'll be the death of me. Will last minute goals, and the way that it happened. You were mentioning Yuki just a minute ago. For me, that guy just runs his backside off, and that's what you like to see. And I don't want to make it the Max Gay show, but he came on, and you look at literally minutes before when Ipswich had the ball in their own half, and Max Gay just half-heartedly goes in, and the ball gets passed to another player. Now Yuki would have been all over that. He would have been all over that like a cheap suit. And unfortunately, Max Gay just doesn't have the same sense of urgency, and then Ipswich play it forward, and the rest is history. I'm not blaming everything on Max Gay there, but for me that was a difference. That our forwards, defense starts in attack basically, and when they're in possession of the ball, you need to put urgency on it. You need to press. You just need to make it awkward, and we didn't do that. And the difference, what was the difference then? Well, the difference was Yuki was off the pitch and Max Gay was on it.
Yeah, it is of course like chalk and cheese between the two. Ohashi, gives everything, runs his little socks off, and then Maktar, complaints and just. I think the writing is on the wall. It was on the wall before the transfer window shut in back end of the summer there. So I'll be surprised to see him play many minutes in January. Denver, you were at, where were you? You were at the Ipswich one, weren't you?
I was at both.
You were at both.
And then I was at the Wednesday game as well.
Okay, what's your takeaway from the waterlog affair? The stuff on the pitch first. We'll get to all the lovely stuff in a minute, which Jacob has got a whole hymn sheet on about it, but we'll get to that in a minute. But the takeaway from the performance.
Well, are we on about? So we're on about Rovers' performance now. Yeah, we're not talking about like the waterlog stuff. That's coming later, I'm assuming. So the pitch, the game itself was okay. It was a little bit, a bit boring per se. Without, it was very much like trying to suss each other out. And then the pitch did play a factor in the game. Later on in the, especially the first half, and then the second half, of course, when the game was called off. But I want to say it was very much we were going to play our way, and Sheffield Wednesday came with a game plan, which was trying to win the ball as high up as they could. So the second we started playing out from the back, they were on us. When we had the ball and we were pressing in their defensive areas, as soon as they won the ball, they just hit it straight back to our defenders. They're like, we don't want to hear. We're not trying to play through you. We're going to put it back on your defenders, and we're going to win it high. And that was their game plan from the off. So. And you could see that from really miles. As soon as we're out near their penalty area, as soon as they got the ball, they just kick it long to Sean McLaughlin, put it under them, or Pratt, and then try and get us to play out, and they'll try and pick our pockets, and it nearly, I want to say the second half, it nearly worked. I think it was a really poor pass, or someone, I think it was someone in midfield made a really poor pass to Gardner Hickman or someone, and they nearly scored from it. Percy made a good save, but that was the plan for Sheffield Wednesday. He was trying to win the ball from our defence. So I think the first, from our goal kicks especially, was we were trying to play it out from the back, which we normally do. And it's funny because you'll have a few fans around, they hate playing out from the back. But my coaching brain is like, no, I like playing out from the back. I get it completely. But yesterday, It honestly feels like 2 days ago. I can't even remember now. 2 days ago, the game. And we started playing out from the back, and you could see when that's all they wanted. That's what they were feeding off. And I was like, I think maybe this is the game where we need to start playing long, especially with the weather, especially with the conditions. And you can see Sheffield Wednesday set up for that. And it took about a good 35 minutes before we ended up starting kicking it long. At least we saw the danger. That's what they were looking to play. But yeah, and then of course later on in at least the first half and then the second half, we in the crowd we were kind of just joking about the weather, like because there was a lot of rain. It was like, oh look, and then I think at half time they had the like they kicked the ball into the centre circle, and you could see the ball then was starting to catch, it was starting to so the second half came in, and then and yeah, you could see it was starting to really have an effect on the game, and you just thought maybe the pitch would be able to hold on for a little bit longer. You thought it'd become a bit scrappy. There was a few yellow cards the ref decided to give because players were sliding in, and because of the water, they were going an extra 5-6 meters. And it was like, come on, like referee, look at the conditions, manage the yellows a bit better than she did. But then ended up not matching because the game was, of course, ended. But we'll leave that for the next bit.
The yellows do stand, but the goal doesn't, which is just bloody stupid, isn't it?
Yeah, stupid. Yeah, shame on this guy here, Ohashi. Good Johnson was chipping in with goals, and it was, it's nice to see him getting a bit of rhythm going. But I think Ohashi deserved the goal, and now unfortunately, it's just going to be. Remember when he scored that goal, this first goal of the season, that he was desperate to claim. And this would have been just another. A nice reward for him, but I guess it's back to ground zero. But I'm going to hand it back over to the main man himself, Jacob, who's got his thoughts on the waterlogged fiasco 2.0. I've got your little picture here as well. We'll bring that little bad boy up in a minute. But if you want to, take it away and, revent your frustrations about it, which, of course, is commonplace among those that go to the grounds regularly. I know John T and Denver, you'll have your own opinions about the state of the operations, or should we say the state of the pitch itself, and how it can be this way compared to Accrington Stanley, Rochdale, or other Northwest clubs that seem to have managed to be able to deal with this. But I don't know the infrastructure of the area. I don't know the inner workings of it. But Jacob, I'm sure you've got a bit of opinion. So take it away. Take it. Elaborate on it for us a little bit.
Yeah, I'll try to be a bit more composed with my rant. But yeah, basically, sorry, go on, Janty.
No, I was just saying good luck.
Oh, thank you. I've had a couple of days to simmer down. But yeah, I mean, obviously the frustration just stems from the fact. So, as I mentioned in the video, I went to the fans forum on the 20th of October, and one of the topics on the agenda was obviously the Ipswich fiasco. And Lindsay Talbot, who's the head of operations, which I assume this comes under her remit because she was talking about it all and what the solutions they were finding to try and deal with the problem. She talked about how, you want to bring it up again, Dirk, they've put this sleeve on the river. There it is in all its glory. And this was a significant investment to the club. From what I could gather, they'd asked the water boards and could have been United Utilities to pay for it, but they weren't willing to. So we spent significant investment on this sleeve to try and help with the river overflowing, which is one of the issues as to why the pitch gets in the state it does. I don't know about you guys, but that doesn't seem to me like a significant investment looking at it at face value. And then obviously as well, apparently they've bought the head groundsman Trevor a piece of equipment that she said was proven to help drainage in terms of the pitch. This device puts little holes into the pitch and basically aerates the pitch. So in response to that, I said to her, is this definitely going to work? Are we going to be in another Ipswich fiasco in a year or two's time? And she said she's fairly confident that it would work. And obviously 3 months later, we're back in the same position, 1-0 up at home, and the game's been called off again. This sleeve wasn't even off the back of the Ipswich game. This got this got installed after the Ipswich game, but apparently they found out and did all the research into this after the Pompey game. It took them nearly a year to put this sleeve on because of the significant investment it cost. It's just a joke at this point. I mean, I've saw that Rochdale's game did get called off. They're a non-league side, and I've been sent a video of it. They're actually working on the pitch now to try and sort it out. They're like digging it all up and all this sort of stuff. But Accrington, Wigan, teams in League Two and League One, their game's finished. Preston, obviously the same division as us, their game finished. We are just the outlier at this point, and I don't know another team in the English league that's had 2 games called off this season. That's just unheard of. We are a laughing stock. We are an embarrassment, and I do hope the EFL comes down hard on the Venkies, to be quite honest with you, and gives them a kick up the arse, because this pitch should have been sorted in the summer off the back of the Portsmouth game. And there's a catalogue of other games over the years where it's been called off for the same issues. Portsmouth is just the one that rings to mind because of it being last season. Obviously, it's the club trying to cost cut again. The Venkies, they have no reason not to put this money in. It doesn't go against them in terms of FFP or whatnot. It's just quite simply either the board isn't advising them to, or the Venkies aren't willing to put the money up.
Yeah. Well, any other input on this? You know, John T and Denver, looks like you both were also, you both said that you were at that game this weekend. You know, how does it feel as a paying fan to go to these games and have to, you know, go again? You know, it's
especially Denver, coming all the way from bloody Wales.
You know, of course, you know, this is a chance, you know, once in a lifetime, just to vent your frustrations. You didn't get a full 90 minutes out of it. You got maybe an hour, and sometimes we're gonna have to do it all over again. And again, that we might not get the same opportunity. Look at Forshaw now; he's out. That game he's pulled a hammy or whatever, out for 6 weeks, and the game doesn't really count. So, Denver, how are you feeling about all this?
I think the more frustrating thing is that they're going to redo this game and give us half price payments again, and it's like, how much money are they going to be coughing up from us for their misfortune, right? So I remember when they said, "Oh, Ipswich game's going to be half price," I was like, I paid a full ticket to watch, what was it, 79 minutes of a game, for you to then charge me, maybe not full price, but still, you know, a decent amount of money. That game cost me, what, £33 to go and watch, and I've only watched, 59 minutes of the game. So the fact that, I don't know what they're going to do, half price me on that, and they're going to be 16, 17, like, what's the, you know...
The away day match as well.
Exactly, and it's like, what the pitch needs sorting. But then saying that, though, it is an ongoing issue with the club, and maybe not even just Venkies, but the club in general, with, you know, high aspirations and like plans, and then falling through. I remember, what was it, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, there was talks of us redeveloping the ground, the pitch. We're going to get a new pitch. We're going to get, like, you know, this hybrid, whatever. And then they thought, nah, we're not going to do it. And then we had not too long ago, if you remember, the plans to renovate the training facility, and we're going to have a combined the academy and the first team, senior team are going to become one facility. And then all that ended up going really quiet. And it's like, what's happening with all this investment? Like, we've got all these plans, and then nothing's being, you know, pushed through, especially with the pitch. And then, yeah, it's just like things that need updating, and they're not being updated. And then I think, of course, this scenario with the pitch, yes, there was a lot of rain, and you know, we wouldn't have been the only club to have suffered, but of course we're ultimately the club that games have been called off. So you can always say, yeah, look, it was a lot of rain. Like, you know, walking back from the game, and we got completely drenched. There was some rivers coming from the main road, but you just look around and you see all these other teams being able to cope with the amount of rain that we all did, and it is a little bit frustrating. It is. What can be done? I mean, we've known that the pitch is an aging pitch, and this is why I can't remember exactly how many years ago, but there were talks, we're going to dig it up, we need a new pitch, and it never happened. Funds, I don't know what behind the scenes. We'll not know financially why the reason they didn't decide to do it. Was it financial? Was it? I don't know. I'm assuming. Well, the only thing that really springs to mind is financial, because why wouldn't you upgrade the pitch when you could into the hybrid system where most football clubs do now have, these hybrid pitches that are able to take on vast amount of water and helps keep the pitches in better condition. But yeah, frustrating, especially going up and only watching a few minutes and then knowing now they're gonna charge me half price. I'm gonna be paying more money to go and watch them again for the same game. You never know. But I remember looking at some of the comments after the game and everything. It was like they should have just said 1-1 because we always bloody concede in the 93rd minute anyway. So hey. But yeah, it is frustrating as a fan, especially someone like me who comes from, it's not a million miles away. I mean, the other day, the Ipswich game, I came from Finland, but
yeah, get that in there.
But yeah, from an hour and a half, maybe an hour 40-minute drive every time to a home game. The Wrexham was my home game technically, but I wasn't even there for that one. But yeah, it is frustrating. It is frustrating.
Yeah. So John,
sorry, I'll just pick up on Denver's point about the half price thing that got mentioned at the fans forum in regards to the Ipswich game. It was Yassir Soufi, who's the head of commercials, was saying that they'd considered giving the game for free, but apparently it would have been too costly on the club, this, that, and the other. And they would have stood to have lost thousands of pounds because of obviously the running costs of putting the game on, this, that, and the other. But it must obviously be really frustrating for yourself. And then obviously you think how much money are they taking on the bar and food and things like this as well. So it's not like they're not making any money from the game, even if they did put it on for free.
Yeah. So for Jonty, you go back a few years. This is something that's not really happened that often, has it? Like a couple of call-offs with rain. It was mentioned earlier. The Portsmouth one was probably the last time that we've had a game postponed. But
Middlesbrough Boxing Day, I think it would have been with Paul Lambert. So 2015, that's right, 2016 it would have been.
But do you think this is, if we had a CEO in charge, do you think that would have helped things get these things done, or the lack of CEO in office here, does that hinder the operational side and get these kind of things squared away?
Who knows is the honest answer. Who knows? Anything can happen with our beloved. It's like a family. It feels like a family member has completely messed up, but all the family members now slagging him off as well, and it hurts, doesn't it? Embarrassment. You see all this stuff being bandied around on social media. We're an embarrassment, and some fans, and thank God Jacob didn't follow through with what I thought he was going to say, which is they should fine the Venkies, because I thought it was all going to come to taking points off Blackburn Rovers and things like that. Not one Rovers fan should ever wish that we have our own points taken off us or anything like that. It's you read on Facebook and suddenly I didn't realise that the Blackburn Rovers fan base is just absolutely full of drainage experts. It's full of geologists that suddenly become experts in this field. Do you know what I mean? And it was boiling my piss yet again, which is not hard nowadays. As I get older, it does become a painful watch and read, to the point where I think if it wasn't for a few other, I can't remember where I was with that, but no, if it wasn't for some other stuff which I'm involved with, Park Run and stuff like that, I'd probably take myself off Facebook, because everything I read just winds me off the clock. Like I said to you, we're just full of geologists and flood management and all of that stuff. So, but listen, there's no getting away from. There is an issue at Ewood Park. Some people have been saying that there's so many new buildings around, which is absorbing the water through the fields to coming down, because Ewood Park is in a valley. We've got two big hills either side of us. We do get it bad, but equally, a championship pitch, an ex-Premier League winning pitch, should be able to handle that, and the drainage should have been sorted. That, Trevor on the Portsmouth game said that it's really, really simple. If the pipe that goes into the River Darwen is submerged underwater, it backs up and goes onto the pitch. He's recently retracted that, and yet the post is actually on Blackburn Rovers. If you Google Blackburn Rovers versus Portsmouth game called off, and I'll send you guys a link later, Trevor actually does say it's dead simple. The drainage that goes into there is submerged under the River Darwen. So that for me is quite a logical thing to happen. I can work that out in my Then he's retracted that recently. They're saying that there's a load of stuff. So which one is it? Again, it's just a mistruth coming from the club. Going back to your original question, if we had a CEO, would something change? I think for me, it's like the two games, Ipswich and Sheffield Wednesday. I don't think it was feasible for Blackburn Rovers to rip up the pitch, put a load of drainage out, and lay it back for all the games that we had coming thick and fast. I don't think that was feasible.
Okay.
I think what I would say is that it's suddenly becoming unforgivable if this continues as in next season. So I'm not for 1 minute saying that we can carry on as it is. That's not the case, but we need to start taking precautions. Tomorrow night we've got a shed load of rain due in the early hours of the morning. We need to start putting some covers on there. Do you know what I mean? It's we need to start being proactive and looking at what can we do in the small interim, and then in the summer we need to rip everything up. And the Venkies, they are penny pinchers. It feels like we do stuff on the cheap. It was only recently that the brickwork outside the ground got cleaned up, but they need to start just digging a little bit deeper into the pockets and looking after this club a little bit better than what they are. And all this Venky's out and stuff like that ain't going to resolve anything. The narrative needs to change for me. That we just need to find another buyer, not Venky's out, because if Venky's pulled the plug, we're screwed. Let's not forget that. What we need to do is make ourselves a really viable proposition for somebody, get the fan base behind us, make it, try and get as many supporters down there, and somebody, that's got a couple of £1 billion in the back pocket, like the Venkies have, that actually thinks, it would be an honour to take over that club, because at the minute we're not doing ourselves any favours.
We're not going to be an attractive proposition though when we can't even fucking finish games on a monthly basis, can we? It's just beggars belief.
It's a very nice proposition, but it just means you can hopefully get the club a little bit cheaper. Do you know what I mean? So.
Well, I suppose apparently that pitch has been the same pitch for the past
we just need
35 years.
I'm at the point where now,
Sorry, I
what
think
did
we're
you say,
talking
Jacob?
over it. I've seen online apparently that pitch is the same pitch for the past 35 years, so it's kind of
don't believe
no
that.
surprise.
Don't believe that. Honestly, the stuff that goes on Facebook is just incredible. I just let's deal with the facts, and the facts are we don't actually know. There'll be a few internal people that know what goes on, but that ain't going to come out into the public domain. So, it wasn't that long ago. I remember seeing pictures from the Blackburn end, and it was from fans. So, and as far as I'm aware, AI wasn't as advanced as what it is now, but the whole ground was dug up and drainage was going in. I think we're always going to suffer to a certain extent. Here's the funny thing: on Saturday, I didn't think, being sat under the riverside stand, I didn't think it was raining that heavy. Do you know what I mean? It was a lot of rain, but it wasn't heavy rain. It wasn't bouncing, you know what I mean? Because normally you hear it on the roof on the riverside when it really bounces down. There was none of that. It was just like a constant sheet of rain that just came down. And, that only started maybe about, I don't know, 2:15, something like that. What I would say in Rovers' defence is that last week we did have a shitload of rain during the week, and this for me is just that constant water level just constantly increasing sort of thing all the way. So yeah, it's frustrating, it's disappointing, it's sickening, it's sad. It's we can turn around and point the fingers at lots of different things and people and what have you, but we just need to crack on with it. But if I see another Rovers fans that said we should give the points to Sheffield Wednesday, I'm done. I'm done. What supporter would wish another club to get 3 points because of this? I understand the frustration, but that's just absolute ludicrous.
Yes. Right.
Yeah, just quickly though, I think to Johnson's point about the sheets, that is just common sense. I don't know why on earth after the Ipswich game that hasn't been done, and it's just little things like that again where I feel like the club are just penny pinching, and it's like how much would it cost to get a sheet just to cover the entire ground? Surely it can't be that costly. Be a significant investment than that bloody pipe. Do you know what I mean? It's absolutely ridiculous, and I do feel that we're going to be sat here again after the Oxford game if they haven't been proactive, which you would bloody hope they have been, because, like Jonty said, the weather's not been great on the lead up to this Oxford game either.
I swear we do have a cover for the pitch. I swear there is one for the and that's the annoying thing for me is if we do have one, which I swear we do.
We sold it on eBay for £3.
Yeah, probably trying to pay for some of these transfers. No, but I swear we've got something. And in most clubs, it comes standard to have it for a pitch to cover. It's mainly for cold weather when there's snow and stuff like that to keep them off the pitch. But regardless, it's like you'd think, right, we've got a lot of this rain coming on. Let's be proactive. But even so, if you know the pitch is in the condition that it's in, isn't it not smart to be like, do you know what? Instead of let's keeping this game to go ahead, let's be proactive. We don't want to be playing half a match and then for it to be called off. That's the annoying thing. It's just not being prepared for what if people know the condition of the pitch, why are we letting this game go ahead? I'd rather a Portsmouth situation where the game is abandoned, a few hours before. Yes, it's a bit inconvenient for some fans or whatever, but we don't have situations for the likes of Cantwell and Hashi where they've got goals that are now not going to count. We've had injuries to, Sidi Tavares in the Ipswich game and now Adam Forshaw in this game. It may have been in the warm-up, but we avoid all this stuff. We avoid all this player fatigue and all this, all this effort that's gone into a game. People like,
cards.
Yeah, and all this, it just avoids that as well. It's just, being ahead of the curve, just being right. How do we manage the rain? If we can't manage the rain and we know what weather front's coming in, what better ways to deal with it? Because it's just, we've now led it to two messes now where we played 2 games, we've had injuries of players and just a mess.
So what are the odds of it happening a third time tomorrow?
Just 2 things on that.
You go for it. Go for it, Johnny.
He won't. I think the forecast, unless I was grossly mistaken, Saturday looked all right. Don't get me wrong, some rain, not a lot. Sunday was by far the worst forecast, and it was actually the polar opposite. Now, I'm not blaming the weather forecasters before anybody puts anything stupid in the comments or anything like that, but that was the situation. But also, credit where credit's due, Trevor and the team, that pitch has looked fantastic for the past 3 or 4 seasons. There's not been any, around the goal mouth, that used to be like me and you, Dirk, bold as brass, for a lot of it. But the pitches look really good. I've read some stuff that Rovers are the only club that actually use proper grasses. No synthetic sort of pitch in that or artificial. It's all genuine grass. Is that a reason? I don't know. That's not my. I'm not a subject matter expert in that, nor is many other Blackburn Rovers supporters. So, it's all just hearsay at this moment in time. But the pitch looks, when it's going well, it does look amazing. But for whatever reason, and the other thing I'll call out. It wasn't the whole pitch. Do you know what I mean? It was the referee knew where the hot spots were, or the wet spots, not hot spots. If they were hot, we might not have had the problem, but he knew where the wet spots were, and he kept sort of gravitating to those areas, which fair enough. You're going to go to the worst ones. But the rest of the pitch was actually fine. So probably, I don't know, because I was monitoring it thinking, God, this is going to be Ipswich all over again. And I would probably hazard a guess and say 75 to 80% of the pitch was all right, but there was just a few spots of it. So, are we blowing it out of proportion? I don't know. And it's disappointing and what have you. And yes, people say, well, if 20% of the pitch isn't playable, then you just can't play at all. But let's again just put it back into context. Is something bunging it up? Listen, I'm going down the route of becoming a drainage expert or a geologist. I ain't that kind of guy. So I'll back over to you, Demp.
No, yeah, I do agree though at that point where there was definitely a large areas of the pitch were definitely playable, and it was quite funny because when the referee had come out the second time to do the ball throwing and testing, and it was bouncing, and then he went to an area and it didn't bounce, and then it was when he eventually called it. But as he was walking off, the guys with the rollers, he literally, as soon as that ball dropped dead, they just all went over there and started soaking up the water as quick as they could. And then when the game had been postponed and they were still rolling, like, guys, you can stop now. You can actually stop. You don't need to roll anymore. There's no game going on. But yeah, I thought I put a bit of humour in it because it was quite funny, and all the chants saying, what the fucking hell was that? Well, like as they were struggling to roll because they didn't put them on properly, it was quite funny to be fair. But I'm assuming that's the significant investment, Jacob, that they were on about those
rollers.
Yeah, because they didn't have them the first game. The first game against Ipswich, they were just pitchforking it for the life of them, and it was like, you really think that's going to work? To pitchfork in it, clearly it's not draining. You think putting a bit of fork in there will work, but the sponges potentially, if the rain wasn't as significant as it was. That's another point, John. You were saying you couldn't hear it. You could hear it in the Blackburn end. No, I certainly could. I know if Jacob, you did, but you could hear that rain bouncing off the top.
But we are supposed to be back in action tomorrow against Oxford, which, if we can get the game finished, hopefully.
I'm actually reluctant to go to that game for that reason. I'm actually able to try. I can maybe get to that game. Well, I will be able to get to that game.
Go for it. Get in there.
Well, that's two games now. I've gone up and it's been called off, and I'm like, the weather's not.
I'd refund your ticket, Denver. I would not risk it, genuinely.
After what's happened,
it'll be. We're gonna get it. It's gonna be a great game. Well, there is some headaches to have with this as well, with foreshore and all that. But we'll talk about that in a minute. But let's of course just have a quick look at the form here. Of course, it was okay sort of form coming into this. Bar the QPR result, we were unbeaten in 3 of the last 4. So hopefully we can go again and hopefully make this month count. Moving on, quick look at the table here. We're still down there languishing. It's getting a little closer to getting a bit more movement, and of course we're joined a little bit with some teams that have kind of dropped down, like your Charltons. Derby are starting to have starting to come back down to earth a little bit, and Sheffield United doing the opposite, trying to bomb their way up the table. But significant.
Charlton's just dropped like a stone. They were flying high at one point, weren't they?
They were. But yeah, Oxford, massive game, of course, towards the nether regions here. And then we've got Pompey as well, not long after. So 2 massive games to come in the next 7 days. So but we'll get to all of that in a minute. We're gonna switch gears now, have a little bit of fun. Hopefully, John, you can hear me, you still see me. We're now going to go into the buy, keep, or sell realm here now.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you. We can hear you. I can see you. So what I'm going to do here, it's just you 3 playing, because I'll do my own at another time. So I'm going to go by each and every one of the regular faces within the first team. Of course, a lot of them will be keeps. But there are some question marks over the futures of some others. For example, depending on which side of the fence if you drink the Kool-Aid or not, about Todd Cantwell and the conspiracy theories and all that behind him, and the 50 appearances and whatnot, as well as other players that might not be in favour at the moment. So I don't know how we'll go with this, but we'll see how it starts, but maybe give your opinion if we should sell them or keep them, loan them or whatever. But let's kick it all off. And we're going to go from, let me just do this for a second here, and then bring Jonty back in again. And then we're going to move over me, and then like that. So we're going to start with Denver. Denver's going first, and you get to choose the cap-wearing sensation, Ainsley Pears.
I mean, we put in a youngster in goal, especially his last performance. It was against Bradford, wasn't it, where he made the mistake? But I think we've got good hands in this young goalkeeper coming through. Since he's got his international player. I know it's under 19s for England, but
and sorry, just one more thing is we are. I'm on when I say sell, I mean sell as in January.
Oh well, okay. Well, he's staying. He's not going anywhere. Especially with Botch. Speaking of the devil, he's going to be injured for God knows how long longer. But Pears is always good. He's always a safe pair of hands. Like for a number 2 he doesn't want to be a number 2. So we'll see how long he wants to sit behind Toth. But he's a good safe pair of hands, and he's not done anything drastically wrong. So yeah, keep.
Yeah. Okay, and then Jacob, we'll move on to Toff. Of course, maybe so the players that you would imagine are established, maybe just give a little verdict of their performance so far, if they're nailed on the stay.
Yeah, I was a bit doubtful on Toff coming into this season. I mean, I know He had some decent performances towards the end of last season, but there's still a few question marks. But he's really stepped up this season, and he's proven why he's in the team over Ainsley Pears. Just multiple brilliant saves, and before he got injured, I'd probably say he was our third player of the season, and I'd say Albiasu first, Cantwell second, and then I'd say Toff third. So he's a definite keep, and yeah, he's definitely, you would feel, going back in the team once he's back and raring to go.
All right, John, do you get the pre-mentioned Alabiosu?
No brainer, as they say in Manchester. Yeah, it's a keep. It's a keep. But knowing Rovers, we'll probably end up selling him for £1.5 million to Derby or something like that. But no, absolute sensation. Big boots to fill in Callum Britton. I don't think any one of us saw on here that we would be waxing lyrical about a right back. I said it last season. For me, it underpins how important the right back position is. And Ryan's just brilliant. He's absolutely amazing. We've been blessed with a few right backs. I was a big fan of Ryan Nyambi, big fan of Callum Britton, and I think this guy, for me, is better than both of them.
Wow.
Better than Adam Henley?
Those.
Yes, he stunk.
Adam Henley kept Sterling in his back pocket.
Exactly.
Denver, you got Mr. Pickering, who is a question mark. Well, hey, I'm not putting words in your mouth, but hasn't featured in a lot of games.
I think it'd probably be the best thing to watch. It'd be our luck, because now, especially with the formation change, now we're playing a 3 at the back, and we're playing wing, like advanced wingers. We're playing like Ryan Hedges out in that position, and we got Denev also in that position, and then we're favouring to Ribera, so he's fourth choice in that position. And I can't see him taking one of the centre back spots. Maybe with the current crisis, but saying that, he prefers Ryan Hedges as centre back than an actual defender. So, if you're Pickering, you're looking to move on. Unfortunately, as much as he's not scream the world. He's not taking the pitch by storm or whatever. He's no Ryan Obiasu. He's none of that side. But he's never like he's better than, let's just put it out, he's better than when Douglas was in the in the squad. Because I remember Douglas, I was like, oh, this guy, all the hype that he came with, and it was like, oh my god, what have we got here? So look, he was a promising talent when we signed him. I remember crew raving about him, and he's been okay. He's had his moments where he's looked quite good. There's been moments where you're like, is he in the squad because we haven't got anyone else? Kind of like last season. When you got back in and you realised, he dropped, he was not in the squad then, and then Ribera's taking his spot, and then now you've got Ryan, of course, and Denev. If you're Pickering, you want to play games, he's not young, so I don't know quite how old he is. He's what, 20? I want to say 26 in my head, something like that, 26, 27.
Up there, yeah.
Yeah, so if you're Pickers, you wanna be playing regularly, and I think he will go. But you never know with our crisis at the minute, and
he's a good League One player, isn't he? I just don't think he's Championship standard. I think he's a league. He'll probably do all right in League One, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
He's marginally better than Mari Bell.
The thing with Amari Bell was, I think he was just frustrating because you could see the potential in Amari Bell, especially when he first joined.
I couldn't.
You couldn't. I thought he looked like
When he first joined in League One, he looked exciting for a little bit, but then, when we got promoted, he was shite.
Yeah, and then he started playing Premier League football.
Yeah, I know, and that's the thing. But for me, with Amari Bell, it was just a confidence thing.
Yeah,
for whatever reason, he just ran out of confidence. He didn't dare take the ball past the halfway line, and if he did, he hit the panic button and just passed it back anyway. So, and that for me was a confidence. I think he had the ability, and he went to Luton, and he did pretty well at Luton. Luton fans were more than happy with him. But so. Again, it's a player there, but also I can see Jacob saying why he didn't like him. He was frustrating for me because for somebody somewhere has just zapped a load of confidence out of him, and he's never recovered from it.
That's an interesting one. We won't sell Pickering and Ribeiro, and I think if one of them is to go, it would be Pickering, because obviously I think he's only started one game this season, and that was Charlton away. I'm not even sure if he's got on the pitch any other time, to be quite honest with you. So I do think we'll keep Ribeiro, but I do think he's one that if we're going to persist with this formation, I would sell him in the summer. I don't think he was great in that wing back position against Wednesday the other night. He's not good enough going forwards for me. If he was an Owen Beck, I'd love him in that position as a wing back, but he isn't. He's not really that fast. He's not really that great at crossing. Doesn't offer much of a goal threat. Give that to Pickering. He's chipped him with a few goals over the years, but yeah, I've never been that convinced by Ribeiro. I do think he's slightly better than Pickering, but again, as Denver was saying, he's not an Owen Beck. He's not a Ryan Albiasu. He's not special, and we'll keep him because we won't sell Pickering and Ribeiro, but he goes in summer for me.
What, the Dingo down under, Johnny. That's my Australian.
This was the guy who nearly cost us that goal, Denver. Dodgy passer. Very dodgy passer.
Yeah, Pearsy with a massive save.
Mm.
It wouldn't matter anyway, but hey.
You know?
Can you hear me?
I think he's a little behind, yeah.
I can hear you. You got Mr. Miller. Miller Light down under.
Sorry, guys. I'm in a hotel, so it must be peak porn time. So loads of people are just watching a lot of porn in different rooms. So, lady wears his heart on his sleeve. Oh, can you still hear me?
Yep.
Flashing.
Yeah, yep.
Anyway, I'll carry on. Yeah, he wears his heart on his sleeves. He's a tough tackler. There's a mistake in him every game, but you know what? You prefer to have him rather than play against him. So
he's happy with Miller.
He's happy with Miller. We got it.
I got you. All right, John, Denver, you got this guy, the Belgian sensation.
Well, he'll stay in for January, so we'll put him in keep. But I remember when we first signed him, and the first few games, I was like, "Oh, what have we done here? Have we signed a dud? Is this going to be the next, Morkande or Harry Chapman? And do you know what? He has surprised me. He has impressed. Like I said a few podcasts ago, he's not really had the chance since because Ryan Hedgie, of course, has been in that position, and even when everyone thought, "Oh, Hedgie's out, Denev will go in," he picks Ribeiro, which is interesting because I think he's done very well. But it must be something on the training pitch that he maybe just not quite sees. But again, I was unsure his first few performances, but hopefully he hits good form. I could see him being like a Costello in that sense, where he's probably a good squad player, probably come on and do a job. But I think that'll be it. I can't see him breaking in and being a starter. So we'll see if he's with us next season or maybe the season after. But I can't see him becoming a regular. Have we had a smooth podcast yet? I don't know. Have we had one where
they're always smooth?
Yeah, just quickly to
no
touch
sound.
on Ned. Oh. Bloody hell. Just quickly to touch on Denev, I think the reason why he picked Ribeiro over him is because the two great goals we conceded, I think they were Denev's men that he was meant to be marking. So against Wrexham and against Ipswich. So I'm guessing that's why he opted for Ribeiro and against Sheffield Wednesday. McLaughlin will keep him. He's steady enough. He's not exactly Dom Hyam, but he's all right on a free. Can't grumble too much, and he'll play most games this season as long as he doesn't get injured. Well, every game you would think, as long as he doesn't get injured.
All righty. Well, we'll go back to Denver for the time being with Scotty Wharton.
He won't go in January, but
yeah, he won't go in Jan. But and of course we've got that special connection with him being a Blackburn lad, and but he's just not. He's just a solid player. If he wasn't injured all the time, I think that's the thing where you would happily have him there if you need him, but when we need him, we have him for a few games and he's out. He's a bit of a liability, and it's just a bit of a shame because he could be half decent. I wouldn't say he'd be a regular in the squad. I think he's got. But then you could put that also down to him have not been able to have the consistent run in the team, or for that matter, because he's so injured, he's not really gain that experience, or he's got that consistent championship, running that it's probably affected his performances in the long term. But I think he's solid. He's not going to go anywhere in January because no one's going to want someone crocked. But I can't see us selling it. The only thing I could see Scotty Wharton, it'd be we let him go. I don't think a club's coming in for Scott Wharton because he's just too injury prone, and he's not that much of a he's not a good investment for any club. Even for teams lower in the division, they'll want someone who's definitely going to offer them a decent run of games. So the only way I can see him going is if we let him go, and I don't know how long we've got him on a contract. I know we signed a new one fairly recently. So yeah, we're not letting him go anytime soon. But
which really isn't looking like a good contract on our part, is it? And it's a feel good one for the fans. As you said, he's a Blackburn fan and all that, but if you're looking at it objectively, we're paying his wages every season, and he's only fit for 10 games. You know what I mean? It's just daft. I think if a League One club came in for him next summer, I think I'd sell him, to be honest with you.
And I can't see a club wanting to sign him, but
I think that's the problem. We're probably stuck with him now, unfortunately. And the same can kind of be said for this lad. Maybe it's come back to bite us in the arse when we could have sold him a couple of years ago. He had some clubs interested, but at the time I was desperate to keep him, and I'm glad we did, but blew up in our face, unfortunately. Just rushed back again, injured again. It's a real shame because he is our best centre half at the club, but his contract's up in the summer. We'll obviously keep him in January, but I think, to be honest, I wouldn't be renewing his contract, Dirk, and it hurts me to say that because he's come through our academy and whatnot, but he just cannot stay fit.
So is that a sell now, you think? If there was an opportunity to sell, you would sell him in Jan, or let his contract run out and let him go?
I mean, I don't know if he'll be fit by January, but if he is, then you'd rather sell him than let him walk on a free in the summer. But I mean, I don't know if anyone would want to buy him. I think someone may take a punt on him on a free if we let him go. But
I think there's more of a chance of someone buying Hayden Carter than there would be Scotty Wharton. I think definitely
the best
player on his
definitely.
side, and he's as you said, he's a very good player. But yeah, it's one of them where I think it falls in the same with Dominic Hyam. No, you sell him because his contract's up at the end of the season, even though he's a half decent player. And then how little of centre backs we have at the minute as well. We're playing Pratt, and I know we've got Conor Iridian out on loan and whatnot, but I can't see him. Yeah, he's definitely
it's a tough one. Is Hayden Carter and Scotty Wharton and people like that are slightly injury prone, because it's a bit like. It's similar to like making a decision about taking your dog to have it put down, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? There's a bit of life still in it, but you just don't know how much are you going to give it the quality of life that it warrants. And Hayden Carter, yeah, love the guy to bits. Great defender. But unfortunately, we can't just keep paying him to sit on the sidelines, and he's absorbing a load of our physio's times, isn't he, sort of thing, and we're paying out operation after operation after operation. So yeah, it's a tough call. I wouldn't like to make that call. I think the reality is in January it's too soon in terms of if we did sell him, we'd get peanuts for him, but do you take peanuts and then he might not have another injury, and that's a quandary that you're in, is that you just keep clinging on to this hope that he's over the worst of it now, and we can get 3 good seasons out of him. So I know that doesn't answer the question, but that's my opinion. But anyway,
where are we going? What should we?
I think we'll keep him, Dirk, and I think he goes in. I think he goes in the summer. We may give him a 1 year and then see if we can get a good year out of him, and then maybe sell him. I don't know, but that's where my mind's at.
Tricky one's coming at you. Has this guy warranted a place in the first team if everybody's fit, Mr. Pratt?
Mm.
Jonty's on this one.
Oh, I'm on this. Yeah, he is. He's a big lad, isn't he? I didn't realise he was so big.
So put him in here.
But in context, a month ago he was playing at Chorley, and then to go straight into the first team squad at Blackburn Rovers, and he's settled in very well. He just looks like a player that's been a first team regular. He's going to make the occasional mistakes, but I'm quietly happy with him. I think he's a big presence. He doesn't take any shit. He's not bullied or anything like that. So no, I think any of his family and friends should be super proud of him. And I think he'll only get better.
Alrighty. Here's one. That's an actual one that we could actually do something with. What about this guy? Gardner Hickman, Denver. Because he's on loan right now.
Very true. Just a quick one on Pratt. Pratt. I was talking. I brought a friend up to watch the Ipswich game, and he's a Chester fan of all clubs, and he was saying how he's actually seen him play this season for Chorley because they're in the same division, the National League North, and it was like he would never have guessed he was going to be playing for Blackburn Rovers a few weeks down the line from that game. And it is crazy to think that Chorley beat them. I think it was 3-1 in the end. But yeah, anyway, Gardner Hickman. I think again he's just a just a solid player. The difference I think with Hickman, I think he'll stay. I don't see Birmingham recalling him. I wouldn't surprise me if they did, but I don't know how their midfield crisis is. But because it could be like a Lewis Baker of last season, where change of manager and then they brought him back in. Even though Lewis Baker wasn't originally a mainstay in our squad, he kind of just came in and then he started playing quite well, so he started featuring a bit more. And then of course the change of manager, of course, who was it? I can't remember who changed. But of course, Mark Robbins, of course, went in or left. Was it Mark Robbins?
Mark Robbins came in after.
Mark Robbins came in afterwards, and there was a fan of and wanted Lewis Baker in the squad, so that's why. So I don't see that happening in such a way with Birmingham. But he's come in and he's done okay. That's all we can really ask of him while we wait for all our. Probably when you're looking at it on midfield, I think Ishmael's ideal lineup, I think lineup for the championship anyway, or this season, will be Tronstad and Baraji. I think that's what he's probably looking to do when Baraji's fully fit. But of course, I think when he initially came in, I think Sidney Tavares was a favourite and so on and so forth. But it hasn't really panned out that way. And Adam Forshaw, which was funny because I remember Adam Forshaw at the end of last season, we let him go. We said, you know what, we don't want. Thank you very much, but we'll let you go. And we've fallen back on him. We've signed him back. And do you know what? Actually, we'll bring you back on. And now we're playing Gardner Hickman, who's when he is on loan, and we're playing Adam Forshaw because our players are all injured. But anyway, Gardner Hickman, we'll keep.
We'll keep him. Now this guy, it might be out of our hands, but when he's fit, he gets probably first name on the sheet, I think. But Jacob.
Well, this guy's contract's up in the summer, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So it's one of those. Do you sell him in January and cash in? I'm not sure if there's much value there with him. He's obviously not English and he's fairly old, 28, 29, Dirk.
Up there. Yeah.
So I don't think there's much kind of sell-on value there. I'd say keep him. I think if you want to stay in the division this summer, you kind of need to just swallow a tough pill to swallow and come to terms with the fact that you need to keep someone like Sondre in this squad, who's obviously Mr. Consistent, 7, 8 out of 10 every game. And yes, he probably will walk in the summer. Unfortunately, there's a lot of grumblings that he's obviously not happy living in England and whatnot, wants to move back home.
Yep. Well, John T, you got another head scratcher. Sydney.
It's hard with that, and we've said it before, we've said it, and I'll say it again. But me and Dev saw this guy at Hull City away, and what a player! So we know there's a player there. And that's a conundrum, isn't it? Really, we were likening him to Stephen Nzonzi. He had the same sort of attributes. He had a class about him. He was swanning around the pitch like he owned it. Do you know what I mean? So, and it's when you see a player perform like that, so you know that they're capable of it. It's hard to get that out of your head. Unfortunately, he's not lived up to those dizzy heights since then. I'd like to see more of him. We've got a really, really good fixture coming up against Hull City. I'd like to see him start that in the sexy FA Cup draw that we've just had, which I'm sure we're going to come on to. But yeah, he's yeah. I think he'll do all right. I'd stick with him, keep playing him. I know Jacob will probably say completely different, but I think he probably splits quite a lot of fans straight down the middle. I mean, Taylor Gardner Hickman, Taylor Gardner, whatever his name is. For me, he frustrates me a little bit because he doesn't do that much in a game, which therefore says he lacks a bit of quality or a bit of class or just that final killer ball in the final. But then he'll do something amazing. So for a lot of the game he's just working hard. There's no question about that. He's very committed to say he's not a fully fledged Blackburn Rovers on the payroll player, but he's very committed. But he'll do one brilliant thing, and everyone is saying how good he is. But I don't know. He's like a poor man's Travis, maybe.
Yeah.
I think with Sydney, seeing as you clearly want my opinion, Jonty. I think there's just too many mistakes in his game, and I think that's why he got dropped. And it saw against Derby, we started with Axel Henriksen holding midfield, and we had Tavares there, who hadn't even featured on the bench for weeks on end. And I think he finally got back on the bench against Derby. I think my mind goes back to, I think it was Swansea at home when he took a corner when we ended up conceding. Just a couple of times that happened, just sloppy, a bit too laissez-faire on the ball. I think we will keep him, but I think he could do with maybe going to a decent League One side, and like you said, maybe he needs to learn the game a bit more. But also, I think he's far better in a team that's probably got the ball, not as much pressure on him, can just knock it about and whatnot, rather than obviously playing in a team at the minute where there's a lot of pressure on us and whatnot.
That's what I would say. If you say sending him to League One, I think that would.
It's a fair point. I agree with that. I think it's learning.
Oh.
I think. Sorry, guys. I don't know what's going on. For me, I was just saying. I think he needs to learn the English game. He looks a little bit lethargic, a little bit docile, a little bit too casual, and there needs to be a bit more urgency about him. I don't think going to League One will do him any good. I think he just needs an injection of urgency, and he needs to understand that sometimes Sid, you need to roll your sleeves up and you need to get stuck in, and there's time and a place for swanning around and trying to play a utopian pass. And at Hull, he did all of that, but we were comfortable, So he just needs just probably a bit more grit about him, and then he can start. It'd be a great player to have on when you're 2-3-0 up, because he keeps hold of the ball pretty well, and he does something a little bit different. So. It's a shame you can't just blend a couple of players, because Taylor Hickman, if you could insert that urgency from Taylor Hickman into Sydney and vice versa, put a bit more tough tackling in Sydney, then you've got him, haven't you?
I think honestly, we were saying I would send him to League One. I think Sydney would be better going the other way. He'd go into a Premier League side. Maybe he's not at that level at the minute, but that's why he was at Leicester. He would work, and it's like Adam Wharton, I'd say, in a way where there were times where Adam would get knocked off the ball, and you'd be like, he just needs to be a bit, because he played the killer passes, but he looked a bit, like he could be, beating off the ball quite a bit. And then he goes to the Premier League where you've got that more time on the ball, because it's very much, you can't just go running in and challenge people, because they'll just pass it around you and then you're gone. So you've got that, you're given that freedom, and I think that's why Adam thrives, especially at Palace. So I think Sydney's definitely going to be one of them. I think he just needs to learn that other side. That's the Championship because otherwise he's going to struggle, and I think that's why he has struggled for other clubs previously. It is that very much that when we bring him on and it's 1-1 and you just see him get the ball, he takes 2-3 too many touches and he loses it, or he puts a poor pass in, and it's there's a player in there. He just needs to just your fingers crossed that we can get something out of him, and either he adapts to the Championship or you never know, if we go up, he might be like that star player.
And if you look at that, that's a Cape Verde flag. They're in the bloody World Cup. He needs to rise up if he wants to get in that World Cup. Because, I don't know what their squad depth is like, but I'm sure he would be chomping at the bit to get to the World Cup. What about this guy? And it's Denver. And again, are you a conspiracy theorist? What about Cantwell? Is he going to get that 50 appearances and then get that payday? Or is he going to be, he's tried to squash those murmurs again on them spooky Facebook pages and all that. They're all saying he won't get a 50 because we'll sell him because we're skinflints. Denver.
Look, it's for me. A part of me is like, nah, he'll play. We need, we're waiting. We're putting all this, we're trying to get him on to play. But they're saying that, I was like, we have done this before. We have done it with Nuno Gomez in that first season where he got to a certain amount of appearances and we just never saw him again because he was so darn expensive. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if we did do that. But it'd be so stupid to have a player like Todd Cantwell and have this clause in this. Oh, we'll pay you all this money if we get to this point. And I don't know. I can see him staying. I can't see him going. Like, we've got a player on this kind of caliber, and we've made him captain. Imagine we make him captain and we sell him in January. Like, it just, you would have put all this into account at the beginning of the season. So I can't see him going anywhere. So yeah, it'll be a keep. But
anyone else want to jump in on that one?
Well, I don't think his contract is up this summer. I think it's the summer after. So you would be looking to kind of sell him this January or this summer because we will get some decent money for him. Obviously, he's been a star player for us this season anyway, before his injury. Obviously, last season he were anticlimactic, I would say. But I mean, he's already on very big money, and he's the highest earner. I think he's on 25 grand a week. So if that is going to go up at 50 appearances, there is just absolutely no way the club can afford to pay it, you would think. And I think obviously Todd being on that money has probably caused a lot of problems with some of the players we saw leave summer just gone, with your Dom Hyams, your Tyrese Dolan, your Callum Brittons, who were saying, if Todd Cantwell's on 25 grand a week and he's just put in it was a pretty meh season last year. Why aren't I on that type of money? So if that is the case, there's just no way we can keep him, and he will be sold in January. We'll cash in.
Well, just saying, if you wanted to jump in on the Cantwell debate,
sell him to Derby. Sell him to Derby for £15 million because he was shite underused this. So we'll get £15 million and hopefully he won't produce the goods for Derby. So that'll be a utopian outcome. But no, he's much improved. Whether it's his position, whether it's wearing the club's armband, we've put an arm around him, we've made him feel loved again. So long may it continue. For me, keep him, because even if we did got a load of money, like Jacob says, in January or the summer, we don't reinvest that money anyway. So my stance is changing a little bit. We might as well keep these players as long as possible, because even when they do go for decent money, we don't reinvest it anyway. So time for our Venkies to just keep digging deep.
Well, he could be sold after his comments he made. We were talking about that the other day on one of our watch-alongs, but yeah, spoke quite candidly about the fact that the ground is pretty dead on a match day because of the owners, and there's no atmosphere and this, that and the other. So maybe we'll see him suddenly moved out on loan in January. I don't know. But I think, to be honest, Dirk, he is another player like Sydney that could benefit from being loaned, and I think it's far more realistic we could loan out Axel than Sydney. Obviously we spent 2-3 million on Sydney. Axel, I think we dropped a little bit of money on him, but obviously he's a bit younger, and I think there is probably some untapped potential there from looking at his stats before he come. I haven't seen any of it, I'll be honest. I don't think he's had a good game for us, but I think he is one that would really benefit from going out on loan to a League One side. Whether you do that in January or in the summer, I don't know. But if we have the option to loan him out in January, I would do, because whenever he comes on, he just doesn't offer anything to me.
Or just put him over there. That makes, give Pickering company at least. Wasn't getting many friends over there in the cell. I needed at least fill that up a little bit. So there you go. John T, what about this guy? It's the redemption arc of Ryan Hedges.
Yeah, same haircut as Jacob, so keep him. No, he's gone from being an average player to I'm disappointed that he's missing the next few games. I didn't realise his age, actually. He's a lot older than what I actually thought. For some reason I still had it in my head he was mid-20s, but he's knocking on the door of 30.
With the oldest player in the squad last
Yeah,
season, wasn't it?
yeah, it's bonkers. But for some reason, in my simple head, I had him still mid-20s. I don't know. It must be his long locks of hair, maybe. I don't know. But no, quietly impressed with him. I think he's fitter. I think his fitness has massively improved, and I think that's what's probably massively helping him as well. So yeah, for me, it's keep him. He's showing some good pockets of play as well. He seems quicker with his feet as well. Again, another bit of a confidence player, and he's I won't say he's on the crest of a wave, but he's certainly he's riding that wave, isn't he?
New contract? Would you give him a new contract?
Probably year on year, maybe. Let's not get giddy with him. He's had quite a lot of average seasons, but he's like a fine wine. He's just getting better with age, isn't he?
Can't believe I'm saying this, but I would give him a new contract as well, Dirk. I did not think I'd be saying that a year ago.
Yeah, he's been playing out his skin. Again, we haven't seen much of him. He's on loan. Did we just go ahead and make the deal permanent for Baraji or what? Denver.
Not yet.
Oh, we've not seen enough of him really to suggest.
I like him.
What I've seen, he seems okay, but I've not seen enough for me to be like, oh yeah. I feel like he's very similar to BBD, but the difference with BBD, I was like, well, because we've seen him play from what would have been, we signed him in back end of August, early September, and I'm thinking, we don't sign this guy. He's $7 million. It's way too much money. We did. I'm like, oh no. Did he? He had a good 6 months, one season, but I see something in him that like he could be a very, very good player, but it's so early days. But we're looking like we're going to sign him. I think it's going to be a keep, but I'm unsure to know if he's going to be the player that we've been waiting for in midfield, or it's just another one that passes us by. But what I've seen, he looks good.
For me, he just seems to have a bit of a different presence around him, sort of thing. I don't know. It's weird. He has this certain air of authority around him, and you can tell he's probably played at a higher level, and I think he will continue to do so. How old is he anyway?
He's mid-20s, I think 25 maybe.
Yeah, I'd take a gamble with this guy. I think again, I'd love to count up how many minutes he's actually played this season. It'll be probably count it on two Burnley hands, would you?
Yeah. But at the same time, I think it's a lot of it is hype from outside, right? It's a lot of people saying, "Oh, this guy's the guy is going to be," So I think that builds a bit of a, like this guy's going to be good. I think it's similar.
It's expectations, and
it's like Morishita with Ishmael saying like, "Oh, I've been waiting to get this guy for God. I really want to get him." Like, oh God, we've got to get it, and he's been okay. I wouldn't say Morishita's been fantastic. He's got the energy. He will run around for you, but in times he's lacked a little bit of composure.
Sneak him in there right now. Just sneaking him in.
There you go. Look, I just called him, but yeah. So I'd say he's in the same boat where his expectations have kind of, we put him up here, the whole helicopter thing and everything, and it's kind of just dropped a little bit, and I hope Baji can prove us wrong, but I feel like he might be in a similar boat.
Who has this guy?
Is it me?
It's more. It's a definite keep, and I think he's actually really stepped up since the Preston game. I think Denver's right. I think was a bit lackluster before Preston. That first game, I thought, bloody hell, we've got a player on hands here, hit the ground running, didn't he? Obviously got that goal away at Watford, 1-0 win. Happy days. As I said before, it's good to see him linking up with Yuki, obviously his fellow countrymen. Hopefully them two can, get into that Japanese squad, quite a competitive squad. But yeah, I think something just clicked at Preston. That first 10, 15 minutes at Preston, I thought, fucking hell, he's been really crap again. And then something happened during that game, and he was just he brilliant. He kind of ran the show at times, and I think he's much better in that number 10 position than he is out wide. He's not fast enough to be a wing, in my opinion. And I'm not really sure he's got that much of a goal threat from what I've seen anyway on that right side. So I think playing in the number 10, it's helped him a little bit. He's got lots of energy. He's decent with the little passes and whatnot. And clearly has a connection there with Yuki. So yeah, definite keep, and let's hope we see some more of him in 2026.
Did he score at Hull as well?
I think he's only got the one so far, Morishito.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's Hull and
just
Watford.
at Watford. I think he's only got one, Jonty, at Watford. I think he were Yuki, Hedges, and is it Cantwell?
Maybe.
Yeah. It was Yuki with a little flick on. No, Ryan, wasn't it, with the chip? When it was
Hedges scored, then Yuki got the goal he knew nothing about, and then there was one more. Gonna say it was Cantwell, but
Cantwell did it, and then he hit it. It's the one on the edge of the box.
Yeah, I just wish they'd change the squad numbers because they're a little bit too similar. And when you get into my eyesight and the players are on the far side and they're similar height, similar everything, I keep thinking, is that Yuki? Is that Mori? Is that we need to make up a bit of a song for Mori, don't we? So we'll have to. Yeah, I want the Blackburn end to kind of love him, and I think again that will bring him on again.
What about Mr. Montgomery? Again, like Pratt coming in for desperation. Was it back into last season? Or, yeah, it was back in last season, right? And then, does he look out of place?
No.
Not out of place. I think he's got a hell of a lot, still a long way to go. I was quite impressed with him when he first came into the team. He had a lot about him, but I think now out of our central midfielder, he's probably got the most to prove. I was going to say he's a weaker one. I don't think that's a truly fair comment, given that we've not given him a fair rub of the green. But yeah, he works hard. He means well. I think we're just missing a little bit of quality in midfield across the whole board. They're all sort of tough tackling. They've all of them have plenty of energy. We're just missing that. For me, that's probably the difference for us. Just that. You watch Adam Wharton and just that look that way but play it that way. And we were saying about Tavares being a bit lethargic, and Adam Wharton ran round like he couldn't give two shits, and he lulled the opposition into this false sense of security that he didn't actually care, and then he would just play a blinding ball, or he would just nick the ball off somebody. So yeah, I think we're just we've got four midfielders that are very, very similar, and unfortunately Montgomery falls into that. We just need that little bit of class, that little bit of quality, that little bit of looking that way but play it that way, or nicking the ball. I used to love watching John Buckley, for just nicking the ball.
Oh, here we go again.
Yeah, here we go again. Yeah, he did. He did. He just nicked the ball, didn't he? Off. Again, he looked like he wasn't arsed and what have you. And he'd do that. And I don't see any of that in the four that we've kind of seen for the.
Are you happy he got his Legends cap, Jonty? Because I think that's the biggest joke.
Yeah, it is.
Couldn't even get in the team, and he's got a Legends cap. It's pathetic.
I think maybe that's because of his through the youth and all that.
Adam Wharton, I would have.
Well, maybe, but hey, yeah, I think Adam Wharton. There could be something in that as well. There could, long like Bellingham and all that sort of stuff. You could kind of do something along those lines, because I think he is generational and go into the top.
I don't know. Definitely get one.
Although, to be fair, I did watch Adam Wharton live at Burnley I was in the Palace End on Wednesday night, so I was at the who did we play on Tuesday? Ipswich, and then the following night I was in with the Palace fans. And Adam didn't have the greatest of games. He gave the ball away a lot more than from what I obviously remember. But all the Palace fans still absolutely love him. And when the Burnley fans were singing "You'll always be a bastard, you'll always be a bastard," Palace fans, of which I joined in, "He's won more than you. He's won more than you. Adam Wharton, he's won more than you." It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Who's next, Denver? You got this guy, Mr. Forshaw.
I mean, he to be fair, he's played really well the past few games.
Yeah,
Before he
agreed.
pulled his hamstring. We've definitely signed him on to help around, be a bit pot player. And unfortunately, we've kind of thrown him in the deep end because of the injuries that we've got at the minute. And unfortunately, that has cost him his hammy at the minute. So, but no, he's just a good, safe pair of hands. And, he's come in and he's played really well. He's dug in. And, I can't argue with him. He's been very good. We'll see if we keep him after the summer, though, because, again, the age isn't on his side. And we'd look replace him with someone more of an asset, a sellable asset looking going forward, but that's the only issue with us. You need a balance, right? You need a balance of experience and having assets in your club, and I think that's where we went wrong last time with JDT, and then we kind of brought it back with Eustace, and I think we went back to that way. So I think Adam Forshaw was just a safekeeping, just in case we didn't get a few of the signings that we did. But I think he'll be moved on in the summer. But I think he's, especially recently, he's done very well, and hopefully he could gets back fit and back in the squad.
It's weird because he's been twice to play.
You were saying
that caught me off guard, Dirk. Just him creeping up. I'm just going to say, Sportshaw's been twice to play. Was last season, so I'd probably give him a 1 year at this point. But yeah, John T, I've finally come to the dark side. He's got to go. He really does have to go.
No, I'd keep him. I would keep him. I'd just use him in a different capacity. So I'd definitely have him on the key. We've needed a Blackburn End drummer, cheerleader for a long time now. I'd definitely keep him. We'd just rebrand him. You know what? I'm at the point now where Mac Targay, just try him in goals. Do you know what I mean? Or central defender. He's not a striker. He needs to get that shit out of his head. So, just try him as a central defender or something like that. I don't know. The guy's not.
In his defence, I'll say he's not a big valve striker. He's not a big valve striker,
No.
for sure. I think he can play some other league around the world.
So which manager would you have, Dirk? I'm going to challenge you on that, mate. Which
maybe, I don't know.
I thought he played well under Eustace a lot of the time, to be fair. I think it took him some time to get up and run in, but I thought he were all right under Eustace. He's definitely not a valve striker, though. It's quite clear he just does not fit his system.
He had his best spell when he left. At West Brom and Portsmouth when he
West Brom wasn't under Val, to be fair. I think under Val he probably only scored 1 goal away at Derby, didn't he?
Did he as well?
I'm not sure, but I think it's quite clear Val didn't want him. He obviously that Turkey club came in for him. He hasn't gone, and I think he's probably been feeling a bit sorry for himself since. He gets brought on with 5 minutes left, and like you said, John T, it's inexcusable when he comes on with fresh legs and Yuki's still running himself into the ground, and he comes on and. As you said, against Ipswich, George Pratt had to press all the way from centre half because Maktar couldn't be asked to, and then that left a massive fucking gap because they hoofed it long, and then we ended up conceding, and that was the final straw for me. If not, way before that. But I was just after that, I was like, fucking hell, like you've come on and he is just jogging about, and you can't excuse that.
Headless chicken. He doesn't read the game either, so he's I don't know whose page he's on, but he's on a completely. It's like he's watching a game on the big screen or something like that because some of his runs are just, where are you going? He's always offside. His first touch is that bad. His second touch is a tackle. It's just, inexcusable. Lovely, lovely bloke, big beaming smile. You'd love to have him round for Christmas dinner and what have you. I bet he's a fun guy to be around. But we don't pay all that money to have that. And yeah, it's unfortunate. Bring back Sam Gallagher any day of the week over Mac Targay for me.
Can we have neither?
And I know that's been compared on Facebook and what have you, but I would have Sam Gallagher every single day of the week. In fact, I'll drive Maktar to his next club.
It might be a long drive. It might be a long drive.
I'm just thinking
I don't care.
It is just like, it is frustrating in the sense that I feel like I think he's been hard done by, but at the same time, like the straw that I'm the same, that the effort was just not there whatsoever. But at the same time, we're asking him to press like Yuki, but he's not that type of player, is he? He's not a pressing machine. He's lanky and he's just all over the place, and he's definitely a big target man that you want to hoof the ball up to. And then anytime he's gone to win,
he doesn't win it.
No, but then I feel sorry for him in the sense of that, because he'll go to win it, but then the referee will give it as a foul. He'll just shrug the player. Oh, it's a foul. It's a foul. It's a foul. And you can see this, like, he's like, what can I do? Like, with the size I'm at, what do you want me to do? And you can see him like backing off from doing that because he doesn't want to get the foul away, and therefore he's not winning the ball because he's not allowed to do it. And it's like,
no,
he's not being able to use
I
the
disagree. It's not often I disagree with you, Dan. But if you watch Max Targay, what he tries to do is take it on his chest. He tries to step back. He doesn't want to head it, flick it on. Maybe because there's nobody there, so maybe he's, we're not giving him as much credit as what he's. But what he's trying to do is take it on his chest. But by the big clumsy lump that he is, he takes a step back and he treads on the toes of the defender, and the referee sees it and gives it, sort of thing. So and the amount of times, honestly, he tries to get it on his chest. And that's a problem, and he's not learning from his mistakes. We can forgive him for making mistakes, and we're not narrowing it down just to the Ipswich game where that was your turning point. It was exactly the same as Wrexham. He came on and he did nothing. We might as well have just had a man sent off, and I think we probably wouldn't have conceded at Wrexham or Ipswich if we had a man sent off. But the fact that we're trying to put all our eggs in one basket and
The
rely
subs
on.
killed us in those two games. Him and Deneve coming on.
They did. I don't blame the subs. I blame the personnel for letting the manager down. I don't blame the subs. I think both games. I think they were right. Ismail, for me, he does like to make all 5 substitutions, and sometimes that's unnecessary. Is he thinking about the next game and resting Good Johnson? And the other thing that I would say is that Good Johnson, what nobody's taken into account is, he was playing for Iceland. So I think he played 2 international games as well. So every right for Good Johnson to come off and for Ismail to bring it on. Unfortunately, we just haven't got the depth, and we bring on Mr. Maktar, which has grossly let his teammates down, in my opinion. Be interested in the dressing room, because I'm sure he's a love guy, but maybe he just needs that harsh word in his ear that, Maktar, you have single-handedly let all your teammates down. They've all bust a bollock out there, and you've come on and you've just not done anything. You've like Jacob said, you've made other players play out of position, mopping up after your lack of urgency or laziness or whatever, and it's disappointing. I don't, you could argue I should sit here quite smug because I called it out over a year ago that as long as my arsehole points down, he'll never make a Blackburn Rovers player. I take no pride in that. I want the guy. I'd love it if he was now on 15 goals and Jacob would be rubbing my nose in it. I'd love it because it means that Blackburn Rovers will be probably further up the league. But no, unfortunately, I'm big enough, I'm old enough, I'm ugly enough to have watched Blackburn Rovers 38 years, and he reminded me of a few other Chris Browns and people like that, and I just thought, no, we've not got a player here.
I was just on that, on the topic, of course, you're saying like, we disagree on that. I'll just take back to Burnley last year where he nodded it down to Weimann for him to score that wonder goal. He has got it in his locker, but I agree completely that he's not good enough. Like,
he didn't head it down to Wyman. He tried to nod it back on if you look closely at it. It just hit the side of it. No, I'm joking, Dan.
But does that not count as he's done that? So I don't know if it's I'm not saying it's Ishmael's idea that if he's doing that or not, whatnot, but I just feel like he's accommodating, he's overthinking too much on, he's
Maybe.
giving his miles away, and it's costing him. He'll go away to another league, and he might be okay. But I just don't think he's got it for what.
Would he do it in League One?
I don't know. Here's a fun question. Would you rather now have Harry Leonard in the squad?
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah. But here's the thing. Dewsbury, what was his name? Dozier Dewberry. Huzio Dewsbury. He's smashing it at Bolton. Yeah, thank you, Cozier Dewberry. He's smashing it at Bolton, and maybe Matt Targett just needs to go to somewhere like your Bolton and or a League One club. Doesn't have to be Bolton, but and he might do well there. And when he does leave Blackburn, I wish him well. He's been a great entertainer
I think he thinks he's too good to go to League One. I think he'll go to a Turkish club or something like that. Personally, that was who was in for him in the summer, and that type of move makes sense to me. I can't see someone like him dropping down to League One. Obviously, Cozier Dewberry's still a young kid and he's English and whatnot. So
what about this guy, the forgotten man, Mr. Cogbo?
Frustrating. Johnson. You took over, but that was mine, Mactar.
What was it? Oh, go on, you can have Cog.
We'll keep him, Dirk. He's been a frustration for me. Got his first goal this season, which were nice to see, and it was off the back of all that abuse he were getting because he cost us a goal, didn't he? Giving it away and then walking back. And it was almost written in the stars for that to happen, for him to get his goal off the back of it. But yeah, he's not lived up to potential. He's like shit off a shovel, so fast, but there's just no end product there. If we can get the end product right, we'll have a really, really exciting player on our hands just because of the raw pace. My mind goes back to the first game, Wolves at home in the FA Cup, and he caused them a nightmare just down that left side. And I've not seen pace like it for a long time. I can't really remember. Maybe Simeon Jackson, we're going back that far, who was really fast like he is. But yeah, just his crossing's crap. There isn't really much goal threat there. So we'll keep him, but if he doesn't step his game up, there's a chance he may go in summer. I mean, obviously, he wasn't a Val signing. I believe it was Eustace who got him. So, yeah, I hope he comes good. There's definitely something there if he can get his end product right.
Who's next? I don't know. But look at this guy.
No, Denver now, sorry.
Viking clap.
Yeah.
Keep. Especially recently, he's been really picking up performance. I remember watching him at Watford when he come on. I was thinking, "Wow, what a player we've got here!" And then it was it Swansea where he missed not a sitter, but a good chance, and then it just fell off a bit. Like a few games where it just looked like his confidence had been knocked, and I was like, "Oh, I know there's a player in there," because I think it was the Ipswich game. He had a similar chance and he fluffed it again, and it was like, "Oh, like." And I remember being really frustrated, thinking I was like, I wouldn't start him now because it was getting to a point where he was doing nothing for the game. Ohashi was kind of doing all the pressing, and he'd just go missing. Like you wouldn't not hear Good Johnson have an opportunity whatsoever. And then it was the goal against Southampton where it kind of fell to it. It just came to the chance. We had 2 shots in and come off the keeper, rebounded to him, and he put it in the back of the net. And since then, he's not looked back in the sense of a goal threat. Like he'll always put the ball in the back of the net. He's still not doing much in the play per se. I'm not seeing him getting on the ball and doing stuff with it. Maybe that's just not his game type whatsoever. What it is, but he's always finding the back of the net when he gets a chance. When he gets a sniff, he's putting it in the back of the net. So he scored against.
Intelligent. He's making some intelligent moves to the back post, and he's not getting picked out, and he can hold the ball up. And what I like about him is, when the ball's coming over, rather than just flicking it on, he's trying to head it down to one of the midfielders to pick up, and then play him in. So a lot of positives. I like the guy.
But then sometimes as well, but then there is the mistake where you'll have Abiyasu put a ball across the box and there's no one there. I'm not saying that's just him. Of course, that's Ohashi and a few other players. It's like you just see it go straight across. And you're like, oh, that could have been the chance. But he's still young. He's still learning. But I definitely think we've got a really good potential player here. And he's a definite keep.
Jordan Rhodes type for me. He's a poacher, and there's not really much else to his game. And he'll go missing most of the game. You forget he's there, but he'll always just be in the right place at the right time to put it in. And that's
11.
ultimately what you want from your striker, I suppose, isn't it?
So here's a question for you all, including you, Dirk. Would you prefer to have Good Johnson or Rhodes in his prime in the team now? So Rhodes in his prime now or Good Johnson?
Rhodes in his prime.
Yeah.
Rhodes in his prime. I think that's a.
Rose
How
was
many?
a machine.
Yeah, he was 30. At least 20, 25 plus goals, 30 goals a season. Like, it was ridiculous.
Jacob?
Yeah, Rhodes. I think it was 4 seasons in a row. He got 20 plus. So
Yeah.
it's a no-brainer, really. But Good Johnson could get to that level. Even better. I think Good Johnson could be even better than Rhodes. I could see him being a Premier League player one day. But as of right now, I'd have Rhodes.
The reason I asked that, because I think you make a really, really valid point, is, or both of you did actually, Rhodes did go missing. Sometimes it was like we were playing with 10 men. I think Good Johnson offers more, when we're out of possession or when we're having to press and things like that. He does more than Rhodes on that. So, if you can get Good Johnson up to sort of like, give him the ball in the 18-yard box and it's going in the back of the net, then yeah, I think we've probably got a better player than Rhodes if he can add that more finishing to his game, more clinical finishing like Jordan Rhodes did. But Jordan Rhodes, for me, was too much of a fairy in pressing and things like that. He used to run around with his arms out a little bit like that and just be very ineffective in that sort of pressing side. But anyway, we move on.
I think on that point, though, I think, of course, they're very different teams, right? I think you look at Rhodes and the squad that we were playing to, it was very much, look, we're going to get the ball out to Conway or Ben Marshall out wide, and we get balls into Gusted and Rhodes, and it was very much just try and feed them into that. So, it wasn't very much, we're going to go press on the front foot like we do with Ahashi and Morishita, where we're going to try and win the ball. Again, football's changed a lot in the past 10 years, where that was it was very much, right, we're going to defend. Once we get the ball, we're going to get the ball out wide, and we're going to try and get it into the box. Where now it's very much, we're going to try and win the ball off the defender's feet and try and score real quick. How would Rhodes do? Rhodes wouldn't fit in the squad whatsoever now. I think, of course, you'd have that poacher, but you wouldn't. It looked like Mukhtar Gay up top. You're just not going to get Rhodes pressed. But yeah, Good Johnson, you'll stay.
Yeah, I'm wrapping it up. The last one on my list is Mr. Ohashi. Who gets to put him in his place?
Yeah, that's me. Definite key. He's not lived up to what I hoped in terms of goals this season. I'm slightly disappointed with that. I did think he'd be on course for maybe 15 to 20 this season. Obviously, last year was his first year in English football. He wasn't starting at the start of last season. That was Maktar, and obviously he got injured as well. So I thought coming into this season, I think he'll get 15, 20. He'll be the main man this year. And he's not really been, unfortunately. It seems like if anyone is going to do that, it will be Good Johnson. So seems like he's more of a second striker, really, which we probably already knew in a way. But yeah, I maybe had my expectations a bit too high for him. But he's still brilliant at pressing, does a lot of the dog work, and he does have that positive link-up play with Morishita, which is exciting. So hopefully that'll keep progressing and we'll see a real partnership starting to flourish there, a bit like Jack and Graham-esque.
Yeah.
He reminds me of, and there's nothing to do with him being Japanese. It's very much when Leicester won the league, it was Okazaki. Like, he just was a proper workhorse. And like, I love Okazaki the best. I just remember watching that Leicester. He went under the radar with your Riyad Mahrez's, your Jamie Vardy's in that squad, your Kante's, your Drinkwater. But Okazaki was just relentless, and he pitch up with a goal every now and then, but he do so much work off the ball. He was also Japanese, that regardless. But Ahashi reminds me very much of that. Like, he'll do so much work off the ball. You appreciate him so much, but you just wish you'd have a bit more appreciation and put the ball in the back of the net a few more times, just like he did against that Sheffield Wednesday game that doesn't exist. But
I agree with everything you said. You'd hate to play against Yuki, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
If he was the opposition, he just doesn't give you much time. He chases everything down. A lot of his effort goes completely unrewarded. And I think testament that you've got a player on your hands is when I was doing the Wrexham vlogs. and a couple of the Wrexham fans said, "Oh yeah, will that Japanese guy be playing Yuki or whatever his name is?" And I was like, "Yeah, hopefully he's going to start." So testament that you've got a player. Is when the opposition start, sort of fearing him, because I think his reputation is just an absolute workhorse, and he's got a hell of an engine inside him, and he'll just keep running and running and running. So, yeah, we'll be mad to do anything other than do everything we can to keep him.
Yeah, well, that's the main core of the score. Just the 3 departures, but we could see the return of this guy. That's right, Conor O'Riordan. There's got murmurs going on. Of course, we're quite light at the back at the moment. Is this something that we all would support, or do you think he should stay where he is? And
I was very surprised we never recalled him over Pratt. I'm not going to lie, because he's older, he's more experienced. He's also in a is it League 2, League 1? League 1. He's in League 1, and Pratt was in the National League North. So very different stratospheres in terms of quality of football. And I remember when we signed him. I had a friend at university at the time who was a massive Crew fan. So he was telling me about picking him when we signed him, how good he was and everything. But he was like, "This player is a hell of a centre back." And he's not really had a chance, like, at all in the squad. Like, we've not seen him at all. And the fact, and we've loaned him out and whatever. Okay, if he's not going to play, that's fair enough. But I thought, like, we're in trouble here. My first thought was, like, we're going to call someone back. It's going to be Conor O'Riordan. We're going to get him in the squad and see what he's a bit of about. And then we go and get Pratt. And I know he's done really well for his Pratt, but I'm like, if you're Conor O'Riordan, you're thinking, what have I got to do to get in this squad?
I wonder, Denver, if it's something to do in the contract that he can't maybe be called back until the January window. With it being a League One side, they don't want to be left short-handed. Maybe you're taking a centre half out of their team and then they can't replace him. Whereas with it being a National League North law, maybe there was a bit more flexibility there. That's just me theorising, but as you're saying, it does seem very daft to have gone with Pratt over O'Riordan.
Yeah.
Jonty, any thoughts on this chap?
Yeah, there's got to be something behind it, because surely, for all the reasons we've given you call somebody that's playing regular League One football back before anybody that's playing in the Northwest, unless it's a desire or an appetite thing. But yeah, I think that could be the only reason. I think it's a logical one, but I can't really comment on him. I've not seen him play. I've not seen him sort of on the ball, off the ball. As a central defender, you need to communicate well, and and that's what I look for when I go down to Ewood Park. I look at how the centre backs are communicating, and that's what I like about Lewis Miller. Forgive me, Mr. Miller, I didn't call it out last time, but he's always shouting at his colleagues, and he's always the first to congratulate a player if they do something amazing, sort of thing. He's got a very good long throw and a lovely thing on Saturday. I don't know if you saw it. But the ball boy actually took his hat off to dry and to give it to Lewis Miller, so Lewis Miller could dry the ball for his long throw in. But Lewis Miller just tapped his head and said, "Thanks, but I'm all right, thank you." It was never going to be a long throw. We're still deep in his half, but all the Riverside stood up and clapped the little ball boy. But Lewis Miller was a cheerleader for that, so he was clapping him as well. It was a lovely moment. So unfortunately, overlooked because of all the other shit that went on. But where were I going with that one? I can't comment on it, but yeah, it's a little bit bizarre that we got Pratty back. But you know what? Maybe it's a little bit of a blessing that it's panned out how it has.
Yeah, and of course that could be just the start of the manic period, which is the January transfer window. We are short at numbers in the back. This would make some sense of Reardon coming back. Also, we'll talk about this thing in a minute, but World Cup year next year. World Cup year next year, 2026. But in a small span of about 2 weeks, and 2 weeks away, we've got the African Cup of Nations, and matey boy Ryan Alabiosu is going to be out if he's selected for Nigeria, I think. So what on earth? Who on earth do we play at that right back? Does it Miller? Does it Gardner Hickman? Is that something that we would explore in the transfer market? I know. It would, the AFCON is over, I think, mid-Jan. So, we don't have to put up with him for so long. But is a quandary. Full back coverage, right back coverage.
I think you sell Pickering and you get a right wing back. There's absolutely no reason to have Hedges, Denev, Ribeiro, Pickering all for one position, two of which are barely getting on the pitch. I think you definitely get a right wing back as backup because you want to keep Miller in that right centre half spot. He's not really a right wing back in my opinion. So I think that's a definite. I think we definitely needed one anyway, even without Afcon. So you sell Pickering and you get a right wing back in.
Any other areas that you would like to see improve in the month of January?
Who's that to?
Anybody want to jump on it?
Just a creative midfielder, for me is number one. Like I said, we've got 4 or 5 very similar tough tackling. Sort of like we've got sort of 4 or 5 Tronstads, and a name that's floated around the back, and I think we should make a cheeky bid for him in January, is Barry Banham. Somebody like that, that's a bit of a creator. I'd love to see. I know he's knocking on the wrong side, but no, I'd love to see somebody like that, and that's what I'm talking about. Somebody just in that midfield, that can not only do the Tronstad stuff brilliantly, but also just have that little bit of flair, that little bit of creativity to do something different. Because injuries to one side for the moment, I think we do have a decent squad. The fact that we've kept the majority of our players in keep, and only 3, and they were 3 obvious ones for me. Maybe Carter, you'd argue you want to keep and hope that it works out for him. But who else do we have in there? We have Mac Targay, Carter, and who was the one that we put in?
Henriksen was
yeah. And you know what? He might still come good. I watched him against Bradford City in the Cup, and I thought, oh my God, this is a horrendous player. But since then, again, maybe it's managing my own expectations, because I thought this guy's never played football. He can't even spell football, let alone play it. But but no, he's he came on. I can't remember who it was, and he looked all right. But yeah, a creative midfielder would be my first choice, I think.
I think Barry Bannon would be a brilliant bit of business, John, too. But I think we definitely need a experienced centre half as well. I think that's something we're desperately lacking. If McLaughlin gets injured, then that back line is just full of amateurs at this level, isn't it? I definitely like someone late 20s, early 30s. Dom Hyam would have been nice, but yeah, I think that's a definite need for January, and I do think we will call O'Riordan back, and then maybe Lorne Pratt back out. But yeah, I think that's a must as well.
That might have been the agreement with Chorley, is that listen, we just need him back till January, till we can get O'Riordan back. You can have him back in January unless something mega changes. Maybe that was what the agreement with Chorley was, if they spat the dummy out. But anyway, it's only Chorley.
I was about to say, for me, it was definitely a centre back and a right wing back, because those were so light in those areas. We're quite fortunate with the numbers in midfield. You're saying you wanted to create a midfield, but that's why we signed your Tavares and stuff like that. That's what they're going to be in your Barges and whatever. But and you talk Cantwell as well. I can't see them moving. You got your Morishita. We've got cover in that area, right? So I can't see. Even if we could send a Barry Bannon, that's not what the club are looking to do as much as I'd like that. The club want to have assets moving forward, and I can see, if I'm Ishmael and I'm thinking of Blackburn Rovers head on now, it's going to be a centre back. If that's Aurelian and someone else, and a wing back, right wing back, if that is, of course,
And a striker.
Once
Maktar goes, we'll get a third choice striker.
It will be. We'll try and push Maktar. We'll try and get him away. But if there's no one coming in for Maktar, I can't see us getting another striker in, though. Unfortunately,
Where's that other guy that was linked with Arsenal? That
Igor Tujman.
Igor, yeah. I'm surprised you didn't have him in.
I did. I deleted him. I thought, no, this is taking too long. I'll delete him and Garrett. I deleted them from the list. I thought, but
Garrett, where's he?
Yeah. But so from what you're saying, a centre back, possibly a right back. Johnny wants to create a midfielder and a striker. So there's probably 4 people, ins and outs and all that. So we could be could be a little bit busy on the Bannon. I love Bannon. I think he's great, but he is a very much loyal guy to Sheffield Wednesday, and I don't think he will.
Yeah.
Even when they were going through the shit, he was like, "I'm going nowhere," and so I'd love to see it. But I'm always a big fan, big cheerleader of his, but I don't think it would happen. So we're going to slip on over into this. This is the crazy Christmas period. It all kicks off hopefully tomorrow. Snorkels approved and all that. Make sure they got them.
Points predictions with cancellations or without?
I don't know. But I just wanted to highlight that this is the realm. These yellows is where I'm hoping to land on these games here.
So we've lost all of them.
Yeah, we'll see. And then there's hopefully another one, the Charlton one again. The wife doesn't know the full extent of this. It's a surprise. She'll hate me at the end of it. But let's look at those. Let's do the other 5 here between now and the end of the year. Ignore the Wrexham one. I know where your loyalty lies there, Denver. But the next 5, 15 points on the offering. We'll go around the room. Denver, how much do you think we'll get? How many points?
I think we'll pick up a few victories in here, for sure. I don't know, especially away. We are very much set up to be playing away on the when we're not on the front, we just break on the counter and try and get a goal, and just the energy to win the ball in high areas, just causing havoc. I think that's just how we're set up, and it really does work away, especially because we're not got the onus isn't on us. 15 points.
Is that your guess? 15 points?
I'll say, I wish it was. I'd say 9.
9 points out of 5.
Why? Because the 2 at home we're not going to play.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, good theory.
Jacob, next.
I've gone for an optimistic 11, Dirk.
Wow, what's going on? Check his pulse. What's going on?
Yeah. I'm usually the pessimist, but I think, fingers crossed, as long as we actually bloody play it, I think we'll get our second home win against Oxford. I do think we'll beat Pompey. They're going through a bit of a rough patch, and they're not a newly promoted side this year, so I do think we'll actually beat them. Although we've finally broke that spell against Wrexham, we didn't lose, so thank God for that. Millwall, I think we'll draw, so that puts us on 7. Middlesbrough away, I've said this before and I'll say it again. If you look back in the history books, my great uncles told me we've beat Middlesbrough the most out of any club, and we always seem to do well against them. So I'll say we'll win that, Dirk. So you make sure get to that one, and then I think Sheffield Wednesday we shall draw. I think they'll obviously have a bit of a point to prove after what's just happened. But it'll be a tough old away day anyway. But I'm factoring in that obviously the problems they've got and whatnot. You'd like to think we'd at least go there and get a point.
So that's an unbeaten December. Just putting that out there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. You're making me doubt myself now, Dirk.
Hey, I like the optimism. I do.
Other than Middlesbrough, none of those games we should be losing. But like I said, we always do well against Middlesbrough. I don't think we should be losing at home to Millwall. Definitely not Oxford. Portsmouth away, and you could excuse if we lost. I wouldn't say that's out of the realms of possibility. I would be quite upset if we lost away at Sheffield Wednesday, I'll be honest. It's a nice little run when we need to pick up some points desperately.
Wednesday, other than the 5-0 win a few years back, I feel like we always go there and lose. Like, it's one of them.
But they're doing shit this season, aren't they? So
yeah.
Is that just down to the point deduction rather than the actual team? Though I know they're not doing great, but
how many would they be on, Dirk, without the point deductions?
I'll get back to you on that one. Let me dig that out while John T gives us his thing.
I wish you would change your American times, Dirk, because it throws me massively. Because I saw Portsmouth 10 o'clock kickoff. I thought, shit, I'm up early that day, aren't I? I'm going to go for 9 points, and I think we'll beat Oxford. We'll draw at Portsmouth, draw at Millwall, draw at Middlesbrough, and beat Sheffield Wednesday.
Also unbeaten December.
Wow.
Yeah, which is dangerous, isn't it? But just not quite as optimistic as the 11 points. But yeah, I think 3 draws and 2 wins.
I just hope we don't have our annual flop at Christmas time, because if we do, then we are in trouble this season.
The thing is, this.
3 points.
Oh, sorry, lads. I think I'm cutting out again. This for me, this all hangs on tomorrow night. If we go and lose against Oxford, which is possible, then that could change the whole perspective of the next 3 or 4 games, sort of thing. You know, we go back into our shell. We don't play on the front foot. We go lethargic. We're slow to start, and all of that again. But you know, what I did like is, you know, when we eventually drew against Ipswich, as painful as that was to take, and I mean, at my age, to have that happen twice in a week is really painful. But they all got in that big circle, that togetherness, as you know, to paraphrase John Eustace. But it puts a bit of pride back into the club, doesn't it? And I think, you know, just going back to all the water stuff again, it's radio silence from the club. And if we cast our mind back to 13, 14 years ago, the thing that used to wind everybody off the clock was just no communication from the club saying what's going on, what are they doing about it, and all of that shit. It's piss poor, is that, from the club. They need
no apology.
No apologies, no nothing. You know, it's almost like they're the victims all the time. No, just I don't give 2 shits that we don't have a CEO. Somebody needs to stand up and be counted and just communicate with the fans. That's all that's needed. Do you know what I mean? It stops all this social media shit that flies around where, like I said to you before, everyone becomes experts in bollocks, don't they?
So just before we'll wrap it up with the FA Cup stuff here, but tomorrow, Oxford, if it goes ahead, some headaches to be had. No Forshaw, no Hedges. Anyone want to
just
take
quickly, so did you find out how many points Wednesday would have?
8 points they have.
So they'd still be rock bottom, I'm guessing.
Yeah. But Big Val's got some selection headache to do tomorrow. Anyone want to guess at the starting 11 for tomorrow?
No.
I think it'll be the same team that started against, of course, Wednesday, bar, of course, Adam Forshaw. I think you'll have potentially Baraji or Tavares, just because of the
No,
I think Tavares.
No, I'd be gobsmacked if Tavares. I think Baraji come on just before half time when Forshaw went off. So to me, that's the obvious choice. You start Baraji and you maybe sub him 70th minute if he's leggy. I think, same team. Baraji goes in.
So Ribeiro left hand side, is that what it was? Ribeiro left.
Yeah, Ribeiro. I'd opt for Denev over him personally. I don't think Ribeiro was brilliant. But yeah, we moved to a back 4, didn't we? During that second half, so that'll be interesting. But I'd like to see us stick with the back 5. Did Pratt get injured? Is that why he got subbed, or was it because he was on a yellow?
I think it was maybe a bit of both, a yellow card and a bit of worry of that, and because of course he was getting he was getting quite happy with showing the yellows when because Forshaw got booked and Gardner Hickman got booked, and they were a bit innocuous. They were a little bit like, oh God, look at the weather, just be mindful. Like, you know, they weren't dangerous tackles per se. They're just a bit clumsy because they were sliding an extra 5 meters. But yeah, so that was, I think in your head you're thinking a young, inexperienced centre back on a yellow card in a game like it was. I think it was just more of that, because he hasn't said much other than that. You know, like we knew that, and we know that Adam Forshaw goes out injured. We've not heard much on Pratt on an injury front, so I think it was just a precaution. But we'll see.
And there's no suspensions. Is there? Gardner Hickman's not suspended, or not
to my knowledge. Okay. Yeah, I'd have Baraji and Denevin.
Okay. Do you know what? I'd probably say to Big Mac, you're going to start. You need to. It's either now or never, mate. Do you know what I mean? And just, you're against Oxford. You've got to go out and prove yourself, and just see what happens. You know, do we start with Cantwell? Is it too soon for Cantwell to start? I don't know. I know that we talked about we're creating midfielder, and then Denver went and listed about 3 or 4, but they're still too further forward for me. I'm talking about somebody that sits ever so slightly deeper, but more creative as a true midfielder and not attacking midfielder. Say again.
A Joe Rothwell type when he were playing there. sat in that.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, that pivot. But
What?
I wonder if John Buckley's still in the UK. I wonder if he wouldn't mind a game tomorrow night.
Desperado. So the FA Cup draw has been made, and it is a trip to Hull again. It's not the most exciting.
I think the draw itself is pretty poor anyway. I'm like, Premier League side versus Premier League side, Championship side versus Championship side.
The fans in there were not happy when they drew themselves versus someone else in the same league. Like, what the bloody odds on that?
Boreham Wood. It's like,
Winnable. Sorry, for sure. We've been there already, but it's anyone going to go to this one? Anyone got on their radar, or they might skip this one?
If it's cheap, I might consider it. But I mean, it's third round at FA Cup away at all. It's not really exciting, is it?
It's got to be a tenner a ticket, and I'm not saying if it's a tenner a ticket I'll go, but I think for both clubs, £10, just sell as many as you can, and just it's a bit of a free hit, isn't it? And any team could win this. We went up to Middlesbrough last year in the fourth round. I only went to that because I was on my way up to Edinburgh, and I just happened to bob in and watch that game. I didn't expect us to win there, but we did. Cheeky little 1-0. But yeah, just make it a tenner a ticket. I probably will go. It's something different about the FA Cup, and I'm going to Portsmouth on Saturday as well, so it's a fair old trek in it. But it's a ground I've never been to, so.
Yeah, they're feisty, them Fratton Park lot. So hopefully, let's go around the room just to wrap this sucker up. Of course, maybe chuck in a cheeky score prediction for tomorrow, just so I got on record and I can point the finger of blame.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody?
Me first.
Yeah.
I'll go with a 2-1 win, Dirk.
2-1 win.
I'll go with a postponed, rained off game. That's the safest bet I'll ever make.
It probably is.
I'm sure. I always look at like the Google whenever it always comes up on a match day with Blackburn, and I'll always say like I think it was the last game, like 53% Blackburn win, 23% draw, 20%. Sheffield Wednesday win. They've got to get a postponed one in there at some point. I it's got to be up there now. I think we'll win 3-0.
Wow.
I think if at home, it's coming. Like we the performances that have been there, maybe not against Sheffield Wednesday, but I don't know how much that was down to the rain or whatnot. But after all this, poor refereeing and all this coming in, at some point we're just gonna, surely we've got a bit of luck going our way. So 3-0.
John T, before your battery runs out.
Yeah, Blackburn Rovers A, Oxford United A, as we've seen recently abandoned. I said minutes ago we'll beat Oxford, but I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if it's. I can't see us getting beat, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's a draw. But I'm going to remain a little bit optimistic, and I'm going to say 2-0 Rovers.
2-0 Rovers, good. I think I'm going to.
Mick hat trick.
I think I've gone 2-0 or 2-1, something like that. But yeah, hopefully we can get some momentum moving, and maybe a bit of frustration from the players can come out. And then, of course, whoever does go, they'll get rewarded for their efforts to making it back into the puddles that is Ewood. But
my worry is, sorry, Dirk. My worry is after Ipswich game, heads went down for a while there, didn't they? And we had a really shite run after that Ipswich game. So, they better not do that again. Feeling sorry for themselves, and obviously combine that with everything we know about Rovers in December and January. It would make sense, but yeah.
Forgotten that it really took all the wind out of our sails. Excuse the pun, no pun intended. Sails across Ewood and all that.
We're doing all right before that Ipswich game, weren't we?
Yeah. Well, we need some positivity and some wins at Ewood, because if we can get them under our belt, then who knows? We might make some progress up the table. But busy period starts now, and hopefully we can get a win starting tomorrow. Appreciate that, lads, and appreciate you guys, of course, for joining in. And let me know your thoughts about the pitch, about the Rovers' current squad status, who you would like to see leave, who you'd like to see come in, all that kind of good stuff. And then we'll be back later on in the month for a festive podcast We'll do a bit of a quiz, and there might be something else a little bit special if we can get things all in a row. But of course, yeah, any feedback on the guys and the comments down below, much appreciated. But until then, we'll see you soon whenever we return. Oh, wait,